Hey, welcome to another episode of the Twisted, Bent, and Exhausted Entrepreneur Podcast. My name is Jeff Harrison, along with my co-pilot. Yes.
Hi, Leslie Sporal. That's my name. Never mind.
Hey, Leslie. I was watching. I had to go to the doctor today, and on the way back, while I was waiting in the waiting room, because it's not always a quick process. This one was surprisingly quick, but anyway, while I was waiting, I was looking up the name of this podcast because I'd received an email asking me to join this thing called the Founders Club. And so I looked up their podcast, and they have a podcast. It's kind of cool. And it does something similar that we do, except they're always interviewing founders and CEOs of companies and, that kind of thing. So I found it kind of interesting because I'm looking for a little bit of a different podcast to listen to. Mm-hmm. And, because I listen to a lot of, self-help stuff. And sometimes it's like, okay, I've heard that same story and I feel like I've made those changes 100 times over. I need to listen to something different. So yeah, the Founders Club. I thought that was interesting. But anyway, that's why we're here.
Is it good?
I haven't heard it yet because then I was surprisingly called into the office. I was in it for like 10 minutes and then on my way. And, we got to start our podcast, episode a lot sooner than I expected. So I haven't heard it yet, but I'll have to check it out and then make a decision. Do I want to join the Founders Club? So let's see how much they want to charge me.
I joined a new group on Facebook on LinkedIn, maybe. I'm not sure which one. It came up as for small businesses or for businesses. So I joined it, but all I've received so far is marketing materials.
Yeah. So, let's get into
that's the topic of the next one. But let's talk about this one today.
Yeah, let's get into today's topic. Today's topic is an interesting one because I think it's something that I have to say is pre-COVID, Leslie. A friend of mine who I had done a project with, 10 years earlier of a travel. It was a travel program with his daughter, little daughter. So they go like to these amusement parks and things like that. And we would videotape them and turn into a travel video. Well, he also owns another company. He was talking about ADA compliance. And I'm like, well, first of all, what the heck does ADA compliant mean? And the big thing is I realized that after he told me what it was all about, I'm like, OMG, this is a big deal. And he was talking about how in our area that there are attorneys that drive around and look for ADA non-compliance. Yep. And then with an interested citizen, he will get them to file a complaint against these people and sue that business. And I'm like, wow, what a racket. And so the title of our talk today is, are you at risk of a lawsuit? You may be a bigger target than you think. And so I just we made a list of the top 10 things about being ADA compliant as a local business owner that you need to know about.
This I didn't even know that you did that because we hadn't talked about it. But then I got an email, just out of the blue, that started talking about this, and it has become one of the top new lawsuits in California.
Yeah.
And if it's happening here, it's going to happen everywhere else because it's an easy one to win, right? You have to have this ADA compliance, and when you say that, you think, wheelchairs and ramps and grab bars and that sort of thing. And metaphorically, that's true for your website as well, but that's not what it means. So let's explain that, shall we?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the first one. The first one is accessible entrances and exits. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, I was having lunch with a friend, and I won't mention the restaurant because I'll get ridiculed for it. But it's our favorite place to hang out when we have our little mastermind group, and I had to go to the bathroom, and there was a woman in a wheelchair, and she was a very large woman, and it was a hallway, and I could barely get around her. She, like I said, nothing negative. She was just a very large woman. When I went to the bathroom, I thought, holy cow, I wonder if that bathroom is ADA compliant to support her, because if not, they could be at risk, right? Like how wide the doors are and things that it handles, all that kind of stuff. And so that made me trigger it. And one of the things that we talk about is at least one main entrance must be accessible without steps.
Well, how does that apply to a website?
Well, this isn't on a website. This is just in general that you need to know about this. So, as an example, if you're a restaurant or you're a retail store and you
Mm.
have steps up to your, let's talk about something that pops to my mind, and I'm not trying to pull them out. So, if you're an attorney and you do this, I am not going to be a witness. But I think about Lululemon on El Paseo and how there's stairs up to the main door,
Right.
and I'm like, well, do they have another entrance where it is accessible without steps? Because if not, they are not ADA compliant and they could be held liable.
I just realized that you and I are on two different pages again. I love it when this happens. So you're talking about literal ADA compliance, aren't you? For
Yeah, I'm
any
talking
kind of
about
business.
the American with the Disabilities Act, the things that they have to be
Uh-huh.
aware of. You want to talk about
Websites.
situations only on their websites.
Yeah, but it's both. I agree with you. It's both. We'll get to both of them. Go ahead.
Yeah, because both of these, we're going to talk about both of these. Yeah,
For
this is
all
not
businesses.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, this is just not about if it's local small businesses, things you need to be aware of. Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
If somebody's driving around and they see things like this, like as an example, if I were a numbskull and I had an attorney in my pocket and say, hey, I could go and look at these places that don't have these steps or have these steps and they don't have another entrance. And I could just go to my attorney and say, oh, by the way, here are 7 businesses that are not ADA compliant, and they're against me. I'm claiming, ADA non-compliance. Let's sue them. And this, by the way, the lawsuit
Yep.
started a minimum $50,000.
Right. And they're going to win. There is no out on one of those. It's a nuisance lawsuit that you cannot win. So you
Yeah,
might as well educate yourself about what you have to have for your particular business so that you are compliant,
yeah.
right?
And hey, and what I want to make sure that everybody understands, we are not against any of this. You should be ADA compliant so that
Yeah.
anyone can use your business or your website. We're just pointing out some things that if you're not aware, because this same gentleman I was telling you about that told me about all this stuff, he started a business as a friend, if you will, to the businesses to go around and say, here's some things you need to be aware of. And they took it as you're targeting me. And he's like, no, no,
Really?
no, no, no. I just want to come and let you know you are susceptible. You're vulnerable to these potential lawsuits. And these are things you need to be aware of. And people took it all wrong. It's almost like saying, excuse me, sir, your zipper's down. Oh my gosh, they just went bananas on it. Instead
Yeah.
of saying, oh, thank you very much, I appreciate it. And I fixed it and went on.
Right.
So, anyway, so the next one is doors should be wide enough. So think about your business. They have to be wide enough, 32 inches clear width and easy to open. And the lever handles or automatic doors are best. In other words, you can't have those screw
No knobs.
handles. You can't do that. And 32 inches because that's typically the size of a wheelchair.
Wheelchair.
Right. Now,
Right.
if you're a restaurant and you're trying to pack them in, guess when you're not compliant, Leslie?
I would think when you don't have any space for a wheelchair to get around those tables.
That's exactly. So you can have the first one. You say, okay, I have that entrance, I have the door opening, but when I get inside, I don't have my 32-inch clearance between tables.
Right.
Wow, I've been to a lot of restaurants, and I won't name any of them.
I can think of several right now off the top of my head.
Yeah, that they're too close, right? This is an ADA compliant issue for you. So think about that.
I don't think a lot of companies, unless they have somebody directly related to them or close to them who has a handicap or disability, I don't know that they consider the fact that they have to be. Now, if you're building something new, the building codes say you have to have ADA compliance. I mean, uh, I've helped build like dog parks, for example, and we had to put in ADA compliance for the getting to the door of the dog park, some parking for ADA. That the way the door opened had to open a certain direction, and you had to be able either had an automatic door opening or the levers. So if you're building something new, you're going to be aware of it. But if you're taking over an existing facility or a retail shop or a factory, it may have been built prior to all the new codes, and it may not have that stuff in it, and then you might not think about why that's important. So it's good that we're bringing this. I think it's good that we're bringing this to the attention of all general business owners, including the small ones.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This isn't a big company issue.
No.
This is an any company issue.
Well, this is the thing, Leslie, that could actually put a small company out of business because of this lawsuit threat. And they're like, hey, I'm just a mom and pop barber. I can't afford to cover this. And your only option is to shut your business down because
Right.
you don't have $50,000, and to hire an attorney and fight it and then still lose it's going to cost you at least $50,000 and pay the fine. So
Right.
it's crazy. Well, let's shift gears a little bit because I know you wanted to talk about online things. But one of the things is alt text for images. So if somebody comes to your website, you have to have what's called alt images for text. And this means every meaningful image should have a descriptive alt text so screen readers can explain it visually to those that are visually impaired.
Right.
And so a lot of times now, what does that mean? Well, that means like a lot of times I see businesses and they'll have an image on there. It'll say IMG_32. And you're like, what the heck is that? I don't know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So what an alt text means is now you have to take that same picture and say, Dr. Smith removing a molar from a patient in his office. Right. So now that's alt text. So if I am visually impaired, then I'm going to then look and see what that picture is because I really can't tell. But then I can read that alt text and now I know, oh, that's what it's for. That is not being ADA compliant if you don't have all your images with alt text on there.
Yeah, we just added this to my websites, right? Both of them. And I was surprised at how many things, when you click on it, it shows you all the options. Now, I don't know how that works for somebody who's visually impaired because I guess it will talk to you. I always turn my sound off on my computer, so I don't know, but I haven't tried it to see if it talks to me. But it was quite interesting how many different options are there for different disabilities.
It's wild. Another one is it says decorative images should have empty alt attributes so they are skipped. In other words, if I just have, a background image on my website and it's just there for decoration, let's say it's a bouquet of flowers that has nothing to do with it, it's just to look for it, then I'm going to leave that empty so it can be skipped by the ADA compliant. Like, okay, but if I'm talking about my business in particular, it's not a decorative image, then I have to have the alt text. If it's just a decorative image, I need to leave it empty. In other words, it can't even say IMG_37.
It's so confusing.
Yeah.
Isn't there a way to add this that it's easy for businesses?
Well, you have to. There's a process because, it's like if people are from an ADA compliance standpoint, let's say they have attention deficit disorder. Well, when we added this to your website, what that allows a person to do is to click on that, and then it'll blacken everything out except one line. And it will let me look at one line of your website.
Wow, I didn't even try that.
Yeah, it could be one of those things where, let's say you have videos and flashing designs on there. Well, that might trigger me. So now I can say, turn all that off and everything I see is in black and white, right? So it could be one of those. This is color context. So color contrast. So it says text and background colors must meet minimum contrast ratios, generally a 4.5 to 1 for normal text. This ensures people with low vision or color blindness can read content clearly. We've all seen those websites where it's like, gosh, it's hard to read even without a visually impaired situation. But when you add that, well, I might have some kind of person might have some kind of myopic distortion. And if you have a funny color text or an interesting font choice and it's hard to read, technically you are at risk.
Oh my gosh. See, we don't even think of those things. I didn't think of it till I got an email, and you'd already taken care of it on your sites, and I didn't even know about it. That's the purpose. Well, that's really the purpose of this podcast today, is because this is a really big risk, and for a small business, me, I'm partial to small companies. Big companies, I think, are automatically going to do this, but the small ones likely aren't even thinking about it or aren't aware of it, and
Nobody tells them.
Yeah, this is one of those, you don't know what you don't know, right? And the rules are constantly changing. I mean, 20 years ago when you and I first started business, we didn't have to worry. This was not a thing. At least I don't think it was a thing, right? It wasn't. No. And so the rules keep changing. So it's hard to keep up with all this stuff. I think we need an AI program that just says, email me when stuff changes, because I don't know. It's hard to keep up.
Well, another one, Leslie, is every website must be navigatable without the use of a mouse. In other words, I should use tab and alt and my arrows, but it should be a situation where I can do it all without my mouse.
Right.
Some are not like that. Some don't have that, where if I hit tab, it doesn't automatically go to the next item in there. Right.
Yeah. I keep my my touchpad off all the time. I only use a mouse because I'm old and I only like a mouse. But I don't like the touchpad because it's too frustrating for me. I'm not fast enough on it. It's like these kids that text with two thumbs. I can't. I'm like, no, I can't do it.
I think technically that pad is considered a mouse. So
it is considered a mouse. But.
Yeah. So if you have that off, like you said, you have to use the alt the tab and your arrows to move things around.
Or you have an external mouse.
Right.
Which is but you have.
You have to make sure it will your website will function if no one has a mouse.
Right.
That's
exactly.
The key, right?
That's true. Yeah. Now, one of the other things about making your website ADA compliant, doesn't it make it stronger in terms of SEO and the search engines out there, doesn't it? I was under the impression that it had things like it made it more improves your website. Accessible websites improves your SEO because Google likes well-structured, accessible content. So is that also the case?
I would say, if somebody's out there saying, okay, if I make my website ADA compliant, it will make me more SEO searchable. It'll improve SEO. Please don't do it for that reason.
No, I wasn't trying to imply that.
Right.
No.
Could it improve it? Maybe. I'm going to say maybe with a question mark. I would do it only because it's like, you know what? Your bed's not tucked in, that sheet's not tucked in, you need to tuck it in or somebody's going to find a way to sue you, unfortunately.
I know, I hate it. What's the easiest way, if you're a business owner, a small business owner who is hearing this for the first time and says, oh my gosh, I want to protect myself, which is what my brain went right away. Is, me, I always want to follow all the rules. So, except the ones I choose to break. But that's a whole other topic for another podcast. So, how does somebody go about getting their website ADA compliant?
Well, typically you'd have a company like mine, like Swing Point Media, or an ADA compliant. You could probably Google search it and find somebody to do that. You're probably going to spend somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000, depending on your website, to make it do what it's supposed to do. Now, years ago, when this gentleman told me about this, my friend, I searched out a tool that I bought the licensing for. So it's much less expensive, and it's a fairly straightforward process to make your site ADA compliant. And also it puts a sign or it puts a message at the bottom right that signifies that it's ADA compliant. Now think about how valuable this is, because here's what's going on. Instead of having phone rooms and people calling, lawyers will now have banks of people on internet all day long looking for websites that are non-ADA compliant. That's what they do. Think about a phone room, only this is a boiler room and they're looking at all these websites. Well, if they come across yours and it has this sign on it that is ADA compliant, it's almost like saying this property is protected by armed guards and their guns are loaded at all times. They'll just move on because there's so many people out there they can take care of. So having it on there makes a big difference. So
yeah,
that would be
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, so that'd be the process, is to first of all say, hey, I've never done any ADA compliance for my website. I need to hire somebody like Swing Point Media or somebody else and put this on my website. It can be done. It's a coding issue. And like I said, with this tool that I purchased years ago, which is compliant today, it's something that can be done in a day and you're compliant.
Well, I'm sure people are thinking $2,000 to $5,000, that's so much money, but getting sued is a lot worse.
Yeah.
A lot worse, because it's not only how much it's going to cost you, even if it's only, I'm going to say only $50,000, but it's also the time, the aggravation, and the stress that it causes you. It could force a small business into closing their doors. I mean,
100%.
This is that big of a deal, and we can't emphasize enough for you guys how important it is that you take this seriously, because everybody these days, especially now, is looking for a way to accommodate various impairments, whether that's a physical, emotional, a visual, whatever, an auditory, whatever it is. You have to take care of all people, not just, I don't want to say normal because that sounds horrible, but you know what I mean. People without impairments, they can easily use your website. But what about people who have a challenge in front of them? Then you've got to find a way to help them. And it's the rule nowadays. Is there a regulation or anything on this yet?
Yes, there is. It follows the WCAG guidelines. Okay, so it says if you aim for the WCAG 2.1 AA compliance, which is a web content accessibility guidelines, that's what you should shoot for. And these guideline covers perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust content. And the Department of Justice uses the WCAG as a standard reference in ADA related cases. So if you use this WCAG 2.1 AA, then you're going to be okay, right? You're going to be good.
Do you have a link for that? Is there a place where somebody can go and look at that?
I'll put it down. I'll put it in the comments.
Just because, that's a lot of letters to remember. Yeah. It's not as bad as like all the Hawaii vowels, but it's quite a few. So I'm trying to be funny and you're not laughing.
Well, this is serious stuff. This is nothing to laugh at. Okay, so this is what it is this is the level of compliance, and it's web content accessibility. And like I said, the Department of Justice says this is our benchmark. Right. If you have these things, then you are good to go. You're not going to be, breaking the law. Now, the other thing is, it's not just doing it once. Let's say, for instance, as an example like you, Leslie, where you're putting content on your websites consistently. Well, right. Let's say every video you put on there, they all have to have captions. So a lot of times, we think, okay, well, we want captions, closed captions on our website or our videos. If you don't have those, you're non-ADA compliant. So if somebody wants to come to your website and they see one of your videos and it doesn't have closed captions on it, guess what? You could be in trouble.
Do we do that with my videos?
We'll double check. They should all have.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they should all have that on there. If not, turning that on is easy enough to do. Especially if they're YouTube videos anymore, they will process that, because again, let's face it, YouTube has to follow those same standards, right?
Are our podcasts all ADA compliant?
Podcasts. Well, they're visual, they're auditory. You can adjust the sound. You can turn off the video. I would think so. Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Well, I think it's important. This whole topic is really important, and I know it's scary. To me, it was scary when I first saw it, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, one more thing that we have to do, right? And it's hard for the small business owner. Advertising, marketing, networking, social media, all of that stuff is difficult for us because we have smaller pocketbooks and less time, and it's just rough. But this is one you don't want to skimp on. You absolutely have to do this.
And you should have regular accessibility audits, like we're just talking about. You know, somebody like Leslie or let's say Swing Point Media, we put a lot of content on a regular basis onto our websites. We need to make sure that every piece of content becomes standard operating procedure. Like that needs to be baked into it that says, hey, before it goes online, it has closed captions on it. Right.
Right, right.
And you can use, I'm going to put up here, you can use an automated tool. There's a couple of tools you can use here for auditing. And it's automated tools like Wave, Axe, or Lighthouse. And of course, you can do manual testing. So these are some things. I'm not familiar with these particular tools because it's very specific to this, not so much marketing, which that's kind of our deal, or AI. And as it says, AI is ongoing. It's, you know, you need to add checks into your website in the update process. So, yeah.
Yeah. When you send out a link that analyzes your website, it's very cool. Analyzes your website and says where its strengths and where its opportunities are in that site, which is something that other people might want to take advantage of. Does that also look at ADA compliance?
No, that particular one, Leslie, and thank you for mentioning it, but that one is specific for, is your website set up so that the artificial intelligent search bots can actually read your content? So that doesn't look for ADA compliance. Although that makes me think now, geez, I could probably make a tool that people could test to see where they're at, and that's a great idea. I'll work on that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I'll have to give her co-chair, founder rights. So yeah, it's a good idea. But the other one is, no, it's to say, hey, is your website, will it be found by the search engine bots from artificial intelligence? If not, you need to do that. But
if you get a 5 out of 7, is that a good site
on
that tool that you sent out that says
it's not.
So we need to talk about 5 out of 7, but that's a whole other topic too.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the other thing that we just added to our website, because I didn't think we're going to talk about chatbots. Okay. And chatbots have been around for a while. I didn't really think it was necessary for a company, either of my companies, because they're boutique companies. We do a lot of business. We have a lot of clients, but I never thought about needing to add chatbots. But I see them everywhere I go these days. You can't log into anywhere or go visit a site that you don't get somebody popping up on your screen saying, "Hi, can I help you?" And so let's talk about chatbots and the small business owner and how that benefits them.
Yeah, none of us enjoy waiting, whether it's on hold or we go to a website, we can't find an answer, and then we have to submit a contact form, right. Contact us. So the biggest thing, Leslie, is having someone that's almost like, if you think of your website as almost like a storefront, and somebody walks in, that's a visitor, is there someone there to help them if they need it? Especially if you have a very robust site. You have over 200 blogs on your website, right? Right. And so if I come to your website, is there a place where I can just say, hey, can I go to the information desk and just ask some questions? And that's where chatbot really comes in, because it should be able to answer almost everything your ideal client would have a question about. And the reason it can do that is because either it's trained on the information on your website, or you've added content to it as a training, to train that chatbot so it understands, oh, if they ask this question, say this, right?
So training the chatbot is like educating ChatGPT, for example. Right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's almost like, imagine it's like a blank chalkboard, and you're writing down there, you're teaching it what to do and say. When somebody says, what are your hours? It says, oh, we're here from, Monday through Thursday from 8 to 5, and then Thursday through Sunday, we're here from 10 to 4 or whatever, right?
So you can program those to, does it automatically scan your site for data, or do you have to plug that in?
Well, when you build, or I should say, when we build the chatbot, we actually say, hey, what is the URL of your website? And when we do this, it will then go in and it will consume all of the information on your website, blogs, all your pages, service pages, everything, whatever it is. And then it takes all of that and it's the knowledge base. Now, here's the cool thing about a chatbot.
Where did you go? You froze up on me. Jeffrey. Jeff. I see nothing. I want to know what the cool thing is about chatbots. Jeff. Can't see him. Don't know where he's at. Oh, there he is. You froze up from me. Yeah, you froze up. You got to the greatest thing about chatbots and then nothing.
Well, all of a sudden we had a little bit of a electrical flutter in my office and everything, so I had to restart something real quick. So the greatest thing about chatbots today is they take all that knowledge and turn it into natural language. So now when you have a conversation with this chatbot, it's not so robotic. It takes this information, says, oh, this is what they're wanting. Let me search the database, and then let me give you an answer back. So it's more conversational, and you can actually tell these chatbots how to act: warm and friendly, direct, conversational. Her name is Sally. Her name is Leslie. His name is Bob. And you can basically train it to be who you want and represent your business.
Is it a perpetual scan situation, or do you have to go back and?
That's a great question. That's a great question.
Update it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the ones we build, just recently, we've updated to AWS. That's Amazon Web Servers.
Right.
And so they're faster and they have much more robustness. And now they update automatically. So whenever new content goes onto your website, it's scanning that and says, oh, she has a new piece about chatbots. So now it can answer that.
Yes, right there it's saying, hi, how can I help you today? Right there, your little chat bot. Do you see it?
And there's your little chat bot. Now, right next to it is your ADA compliance, right?
Right.
So if I click on this, it pops up and says, how may I help you today? So now if you notice right here, it says there are some suggested questions that pop up. What type of services do you offer? Because maybe I don't even know what to ask because I'm not sure what Executive Errands does, but I feel like I need some help, right? So if I click that, then it will go through that information. It says, hey, this is what we do, right? Mm-hmm. And you can see it's a lot of information. So it's like, oh, home maintenance and repairs. So if I said, if I had a service needed for my pool, can you help? Let's see what it does. This is live. Let's see what it says. Yes, we can assist with service related to your pool. Executive Errands offers a variety of home maintenance and repair services, and we can connect you with qualified service providers who specialize. Okay, so I'm going to say, how much, because let's face it, this is what people want to know. How much does this service cost? And it's talking specifically about your pool service. Now, here's the cool thing. All right. So you can, in the training part, you can actually want to say, hey, if somebody asks about price, then we also might want to say, hey, it's time to get in touch with Leslie, right? Or it's time to get in touch with the office. So we'll answer the thing. And then for more information specifically, hey, let's call a phone number or let's email you for further assistance. And then it will direct you to that. So they're really cool today. And it is like having, another person working for you that is like, and I'm going to date myself, it's like Radar O'Reilly on MASH. He just knows everything. She just knows everything. And it's awesome. Pretty cool. So
yeah, let's see the one on CBS.
Okay.
and then swing point. That'd be cool to see.
Whoops, I must have spelt it wrong.
You did, I think you did .com twice.
Concierge Business
Solutions.com.
Solutions.com. Oh, here we go. I see the error in my way.
Is there a character that didn't belong?
There we go.
It's so small I can't see it.
I put Solutions, okay?
Oh, so at the bottom then there should, oh, look, there's the 88. Oh, there's the chatbot.
So here it comes up once again, because we built both of those for you. There's how are you today? And then it asks some questions. Does your software save me time and money?
Oh, yeah.
Let's face it, if I'm going to get software, I want it to do both. So it gives me an answer.
Right.
Does your I've just turned off your mic just because it sounds like the kennel has gotten loose in your house. Just give me a thumbs up when she's quiet. So this is like, does your software help if I have a business that sells time for service? Yes, Essential Omelets can. So it can really, a chatbot can also be designed to help sell the services. So we could go back and we could say, hey, when somebody asks about this, we need you to become a salesperson and design an opportunity if you wanted to. So it could be like that first person that they contact that actually sets you up to become, a new lead. And then if it says right here, get in touch if you have any more information or need further questions, then there's a form there that can be filled out. And of course, this form then goes to Leslie. So she would receive it that, hey, Jeff Harrison, here's his email number and here's a message. I have a question. I do XYZ business and I submit it. So it becomes a lead magnet on your website where all of a sudden it's doing this in the background. So the key is, yeah. Now, here's a cool thing about these chatbots also. They don't just have to live on your website, Leslie.
Oh, we don't? Where else do they live?
You could put this on your social media platforms.
Ooh, so let's do that.
Yeah. So imagine now every time somebody asks a question on your Facebook page or your Instagram page, well, guess what? It would be able to answer just like we're seeing it here.
I would love that on my Essential Elements page.
So it could definitely engage. So these are some cool things. So as you see, everybody out there, Leslie is ADA compliant and she also has a chatbot.
Because it's too scary. If you all have to get sued one time and that you do not want this. I mean, it's just awful. And especially, people that have spent, there's the accessibility menu for the ADA. When you've spent so much blood, sweat, and tears building a company, right? The last thing you want is somebody to come along and try to sabotage it. And I always say, don't give somebody a stick to beat you over the head with, right? So not having ADA compliance is a stick because somebody will find you eventually. They may start with the bigger companies, but they will bleed down to you eventually and find you. And the more successful you are, the bigger target you become because your name is out there and you've come up more in search engines and people will know who you are. So don't give somebody a stick to beat you over the head with. Get ADA compliant. Now, the chatbot is optional, but I think it's a really cool thing to have, especially when you're a small company, because it makes you look like a big company, right? I'm sure that most people have the same thought process I do. Well, that's for big companies, right? I never thought about having it for myself, but when we redid both my websites, it was like, well, we should probably put that out here because we want that impression. And it's working for you 24 hours a day, right? Somebody's in a different time zone. Somebody has a question and you're trying to sleep, which, as small business owners, we never sleep, but you're trying to sleep. What do you think we call this? Twisted, bent, and exhausted? Because we never get to sleep. So What did you just do to my website? Oh, that did that for the, yeah, it's an ADA thing. Yeah.
Well, here's a cool thing about all this is like I can go and say, well, for me as an example, you know what, I don't want the colors, right? So I could then change the colors on that to make it the colors are gone, right? So I could make it a monochrome because the colors distract me. And then also I might have an issue be able to read because it's too small, right? So I can now pop this over it and it gives me everything it hovers over is now in that 200 plus size font. So it's
And
kind
it
of cool
doesn't
from that
stay
side.
that way for everybody, right? It's only for the monitor that you're on, right?
Right. So if you went to our website right this second and we were both looking at it, only I, if I'm using the ADA compliance, only I would see what I'm looking for. So it works for each individual person. And it's not so much for, hey, I just changed your website. No, I changed it for me to make it perfect. Right.
Just from my tired old eyes of being able to increase the font on somebody's site that has a ADA compliance uh, option would be helpful, because sometimes I can't see the small print. You
Yeah.
know, can
And
you?
this,
And it works on your phone too, right? It's mobile friendly.
it should be mobile friendly also. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I was
So
going to check
anyway,
it out.
there's some cool things about that. There's a reading mask. This is the one I was telling you about before. So as an example, if I have attention deficit disorder potentially, I could say, well, I'm just going to read each this, and this is going to help me read and stay focused. So I'm not distracted by everything else that's on the website. So I could go down in this and read this. So that's kind of that's kind of nice. Um, there's another one. So it's like if you were saying, well, where are the let's see, I was just seeing this, the links. So it would highlight anything on your website that has links to it. It would highlight this. If you
That's
notice
awesome.
all these, right?
I haven't really
All
played
these
with it
have
that much, but
highlights.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's just nice to have it on there, Leslie, so that you know what, again, you're not a target, because that's what we're talking about. Um, when you don't have this, you become a target.
Right,
So
exactly.
so anyway.
Okay, well, I
Well, those are
think that these are important things for people to know. I mean, your website is considered a public face of your business, right?
yes.
In the old days, it was all brick and mortar. Everything was brick and mortar, and so you would go and the storefront was your business. Now this is your storefront. I
Mm,
mean, everything is digital, right?
yep. Yep.
Even brick and mortar companies have a digital presence. So, and I think they do more business digitally than they do. I mean, we were talking about Costco yesterday, right? About me ordering stuff from Costco. I don't ever go to Costco anymore. First of all,
Mm.
if I walk through the door, it's a $400 visit, because they always have things that I want, right? At least a $400 visit. But if I go online, I order just what I want, then I only get that. Now, do you pay a premium for that? Yes, you do. Right for the convenience. But I think it saves me money in the long. I don't come home with chickens I don't need. It's like the whole. They have those chickens over there all the time.
Love those
So
5.99 chickens.
yeah, I know. But I think that in all seriousness, I hope people will pay attention to this, because um, I hate for somebody to get caught unaware on something that's so easy to fix,
Yep.
right? This is an easy fix, and it's a quick lawsuit, no matter what. When back in, let's see, 2016, 17, and this is still the truth today, but 10 years ago, the quick and easy lawsuit was wage and hour discrimination, right? They knew, the lawyers know, at least in California, they know, if they claim wage and hour discrimination, even if it's not true, the business owner is going to lose. I'm on the
Yep.
wrong side of you. Turn me over. I'm on the wrong side. Like you. No, I was on the right side. I said that
That's
wrong.
what
My
I thought.
apologies. I'm
Okay.
sorry. But the lawyers knew that.
I'm just trying to be compliant, folks. I'm just trying to be compliant.
Yeah, but the lawyers know that you can't win. I mean, when you go in for mediation or try to make your case, and I know this because I had a frivolous, unfounded wage and hour lawsuit from someone that I fought because I felt that, well, I knew I was in the right. right? It was completely unfounded. It cost me a fortune to fight, and it would have been so much less painful and so much less money had I just said, fine, just pay him. And that's what happens. That's what the lawyers are counting on. It's a nuisance suit. They know you can't win. I went to mediation, and the attorney, the judge looked at me. I hadn't said a single word, and he said, how much are you going to pay? Because you can't defend this. I was
That's
so
insane.
mad. I was so mad, and I still fought it another year, and it still cost me an arm and a leg. So, you know, uh, it's just, I don't like things that are inherently unjust and unfair. I am honest as the day is long. I don't like it when people do unfair things. And when somebody files a frivolous lawsuit, it just makes all the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. And this ADA thing it's not frivolous because for sure people with disabilities need it, but to target smaller businesses who don't know, which ignorance of the law is no excuse, or don't didn't think that it would ever apply to them, it's just a shame.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is a public, this is our PSA for the day. This is our public service announcement. Please, please, please contact somebody like Jeff to get your website ADA compliant. If you want a chat bot in the mix, he can do that for you too. He's really good at this stuff. Or reach out to him. Are you going to put your contact info up
Yeah, I'm
there?
just going to put my email address up there. Yep.
Yeah. Jeff at swingpointmedia.com. See, he doesn't have all those S's like me. Mine is harder. This is easy. Jeff at Swingpoint Media. Give him a call and at least find out what it would be for your business because you want to be protected. Honestly, I know I'm harping on this, but I have major wound and scars from dealing with a frivolous lawsuit, and I don't want anybody else to have to do that.
Well, I'm glad you are because here's how most of us are is we ignore this until we hear that knock on the door or we open up the mail and it says you're being sued.
Right.
When we could have said, it's almost like that remember the commercial said the mechanic said you can pay me now or you can pay me later.
Yeah, exactly.
Pay me now is an oil change for $49. Pay me later is a new engine for $4,000.
Right.
You make the decision. It's up to you. Well, like putting these things on your website is so inexpensive compared to
Yeah.
that lawsuits that start at 50 grand a pop.
Yeah, it's in California. It's probably more than that because we're subject to all kinds of craziness here.
Well, in our area, there were several businesses that we know. I won't mention any of them, but one was a pretty large car dealership that they found a few things like when you exit a sidewalk into any traffic, whether it's even in a parking lot, you have to have the yellow thing with the dots on it.
Yeah, I fell over one of those once.
They didn't have that. They had it set up so they could go off the ramp thing, but because of that, it was like a $75,000 lawsuit they lost, and they just like you with the judge, it was like, sorry, you're busted. And so they had to pay that and do the work. And while they were there, of course, it's almost like when they find something, what do? They start nitpicking to everything.
Well, that's what clients do too. If you miss something and the client finds it, then they're going to start finding all kinds of other things. That always happens. Do you know why the bumps are there? Because I didn't know this until I fell over one of these things.
I don't know why the bumps are there.
They're there for visually impaired, so that people know that they're moving into a place of traffic. Gotcha. I didn't pick my feet up one day and tripped over one of those bumps and went face first down. And the escrow company where I was headed and where it happened was in a panic because I could have sued. I could have. It is a tripping hazard, but it's also an ADA thing. So I didn't, of course, because I don't believe in frivolous lawsuits. But
it's not your MO.
Yeah, no. But I could have, and they were really panicked over that.
Yeah.
And so what's a little cut on the forehead? It's not that big of a deal.
It didn't leave much of a scar.
No, just all of this.
All right, we're starting to wander off track here.
We are. So we have to do it next week.
Yeah. So we'll be back next week, and we have another topic I think you're going to very much like. Because it is changing so much, and it is how people are finding you online. And if you don't do this, you will not be found online, and it will make a tremendous difference to your business. So make sure to join us next week. Again, my name is Jeff Harrison of Swing Point Media. Let me take that down. You are with Leslie and myself, and you are at, this is backed up here, the Twisted, Bent, and Exhausted Entrepreneur Podcast. Leslie, any last thoughts before we wrap up today?
Nope. I love doing this. I hope we get a ton more followers, and that people will take advantage of this. This is all free advice. Okay. Both of us do offer consulting. Both of us offer help. And this is you getting all our knowledge for free. So I hope you're taking advantage of it. Well, if you're here, you are. Thank you. Share it with somebody who's not. Okay.
Yeah, because when you hire Leslie, you're probably in that $300 to $500 an hour range, and she spends 2 hours with me every week recording these. So it's like $1,000 worth of advice from Leslie. So make sure to take note. And it's not one of these rambling sessions where we're talking about what did we knit or how did we, what did we have for dinner last night. It's stuff that you can. We
could talk about that.
We could. There's this cool little. No, I'm just kidding. All right, folks. We'll see you next week. I'm Jeff.
Bye, Leslie. See ya.